for Tamale Central. Alhaji, good morning, and thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Senator. Thank you for having me.
Were you the one who gave the president the legal advice on the special prosecutor?
Oh, no. No.
But, and I'm sure you listen to him. How much weight should that carry for those who've been having this debate for some time now? Should he settle the matter?
Senator, just like you said, I did not know. I'm sure the legal advisors of His Excellency the President thought the same way that we have been thinking, and I'm privileged to have been associated with the president in the way he thinks. I want to tell you about your phone. Okay. So what the president basically said is that the special prosecutor needs time and not threats of termination. And the agreement that informed the establishment of the special prosecutor's office is still as valid as when it was debated as it is now, because that appears to be the only independent institution that has autonomous prosecutorial powers. And so to remove that will be to open the floodgates for people who want to engage in corruption and corruption-related offenses. So I'm happy that the president thought this way.
What would time, given the special prosecutor's office time, would do for the institution if people have already started losing faith in them?
Yeah, so the president also addressed that when he said that the special prosecutor must up his game to restore the confidence that people have in that institution. And so it's good that the president addressed that. We all said that when we were talking about the relevance of the office to the fight against corruption.
But those who have also raised also do not have faith in the special prosecutor.
Well, the special prosecutor is different from the special prosecutor's office. And that's what we must all appreciate. Because the special prosecutor's office is an office that has been set up for the purposes of fighting corruption and corruption-related offenses. And that being so, it has a specific jurisdiction established for a specific purpose, and its mandate is limited. So we should all understand that.
I see. There are those who are also proposing that there should be other ways of taking a second look at the current arrangement and whether it can be improved to give them more powers, a bit more autonomy, among others, strengthening them.
Senator, even without finishing your question, whatever we can do as a country to improve upon the delivery of the special prosecutor's office is welcome.
See, great. Now, there seems in Parliament, and I'm sure you watched, the minorities' attempt to hijack Parliament that later proved to be unsuccessful, with a lot of business then taking place, a lot of approvals. What are your own thoughts on the scenes that we saw in Parliament?
But I thought that the minority action was misplaced, misconceived, not supported by law and extrajudicial. And that this is not known to parliamentary practice. That when you object, when you refuse to reason with the minority on certain developments, or you take objection to how Parliament is reacting to a situation, you don't stay in Parliament and disrupt the proceedings. That is not parliamentary. What you do is that you leave Parliament as an indication of your rejection of the activities happening in Parliament.
Has this ever happened before?
No, it has never happened. To my understanding and knowledge, it has never happened.
You said it is not supported by law. Are you saying everything that happened on the day is against? Is it procedure or practice?
It's against the procedure of Parliament.
So what happens in this case?
So, in fact, they are in contempt of Parliament. But I don't know how Parliament will react. They have brought Parliament into serious disrepute, tarnish the integrity and reputation of Parliament. So, but I don't know how Parliament is able to react to that situation. So, while business of the House was going on, they were intentionally disrupting the business of the House. That's unparliamentary, and that's contemptuous of Parliament.
In fact, there are many people who suggest that perhaps they have been emboldened by the consistent failure of Parliament to take action when these things happen. We saw it at the vetting, among others. Parliament just goes completely silent. That if this one is also allowed to go, perhaps the next one will be a fisticuff, an exchange of blows in Parliament. Do you agree that Parliament itself has failed to put its foot down?
I agree entirely. I mean, and it didn't start today. You remember when Alhaji Inusah Fuseini violated Article 97(1)(c) of the Constitution? I was very vociferous in inviting Parliament to apply the law. I was very, very vociferous. Not that I had anything against Alhaji Inusah Fuseini, but I just thought that was a unique opportunity given to Parliament to demonstrate what Parliament can do, and especially give vindication to the stance of the Constitution on failure of a member to be in the House for a certain specific number of days without permission of the Speaker and without reasonable explanation to the Committee on Privileges.
So what do you expect to be done in this circumstance? I have heard the Majority Chief Whip says they are moving, they will be asking the Speaker to refer one person in particular, Reverend Tim Fojo, to the Privilege Committee. He was seen throwing a stack of paper in the direction of the Speaker. That
we also all saw it. We all saw it. That is the impunity. You see, when you allow people to act without sanctions and without fear of sanctions, they develop the culture of impunity and they think that they are above the law. So that's what has happened.
You agree that they should move at least?
I agree that those who were just standing there watching what was happening from the minority side, who felt constrained or restrained from engaging in lawlessness, even though their group had said that they were not going to cooperate. Those people cannot be cited for contempt. But there are those who actively participated in the lawlessness with utter disregard of parliamentary practice. I think those people should be identified and cited for contempt.
I see. But beyond that, there were arguments that they made on the floor. They were of the opinion that because of the processes that had been filed, Parliament, the clerk should not have written that letter. Did they have a point when it comes to that?
But the clerk has written the letter, even if you have a point. So the clerk has written the letter. The clerk has invoked Article 1125 of the Constitution. And Article 1125 of the Constitution is like a chain reaction. Okay, so when the clerk issues the letter to the Electoral Commission, the Electoral Commission, when it receives the letter, is bound to act because it has been informed of the occurrence of a vacancy in Parliament. So when the letter is issued, no matter the circumstances, what you do is to arrest the letter, go to court, and secure a stay of execution of the judgment of the court. Or you go to court and ask for abridgment of time to move your application to quash the judgment of the court. And if you fail to do that and think that because you have filed processes, those processes will operate to limit the power of the clerk to issue a letter when a court judgment has been served on the clerk declaring that the Pandai should be rerun in 30 days. What do you expect the clerk to do? Tell me, what do you expect the clerk to do? To sit down because it's in the media that you have filed an application in court taken to quash the judgment of the High Court, or you have filed an appeal against the judgment, or you have filed an application for a stay of execution. You think that the clerk should act on that information when it has not been served?
Is that why you said the actions was misplaced and misconceived?
Yes, very, very misplaced. Very, very misplaced. Because you see, you have filed a certiorari until the Supreme Court hears the certiorari application, everything will be, presumed to be normal. Yes, it can result into an absurdity. If the Supreme Court passes the judgment of the High Court, it can result in absurdity. But the clerk has acted. So what do? You have to arrest the effect of the letter. That's what you do. That's what you do. Not shout in Parliament. After all, Article 112 does not say that when a letter is written to the Electoral Commission, that letter can be withdrawn. It's not there in the law like that. So when that letter is written, it's written. You need a legal process to stop that letter because that letter has its foundation in the Constitution. So it's a legal process. It's a legal document.
Interesting. But they also say that the action is also political in nature. They expected that the majority leader, as the leader of the House, should understand their concerns and also perhaps side with them in asking that Parliament take no further actions until the cases are heard, that he was acting partisan. That's why they decided to make it difficult for the majority to do any business on the day.
Look, let me just tell the minority that the idiosyncrasies of the majority leader or the idiosyncrasies of the minority does not operate as law. So if you expect the minority leader to understand you, if you expect the minority's position to be vindicated, and it is not vindicated by the clerk on the basis of law, you use the legal means to stop the process, not banging of tables and shouting across the aisle.
Having said that, you were also talking about holding them accountable. What can be done and who should take action?
That's what I've just said. I said, look, this is this modern day. They have a video recording of everything that happened in Parliament. The Parliament has a 360 degrees video recording from all angles. And if they review the video, they will see those who were misbehaving and those whose conduct clearly is contemptuous of Parliament.
I haven't said that yesterday I had a very interesting conversation with Akwesi Akwa. I don't know whether he was in Parliament. I think maybe he's a second-term member of Parliament, Oda. And he was of the opinion that, in fact, he emphasized what was said by their whip, who says that the majority is engaged in tyrannical behavior. And Akwesi Akwa went ahead to suggest that when they had 169 members of Parliament in 2020, they allowed more room for minority to have expression that it is being done currently. Do you agree? You were in that
when
Parliament.
That's against this one. In Parliament, I was in Parliament. So Akwesi should not be talking about what he doesn't know.
What?
You remember when they had 169 in Parliament? The first major act was to review the Local Government Act. We have said before we lost election that constantly changing the 30% of membership of the the assemblies when a government wins elections to be able to get its DCEs passed should not be encouraged. And so we passed a law to make it impossible for any government to change the 30% representation upon coming to office and wait until the expiration of the tenure of the assembly. When they came, that was the first thing they did. We objected to the amendment and walked out. They didn't mind us. They passed their law.
So that claim is not true.
It cannot be true. He was not in that Parliament. That was the 7th Parliament. He was not there.
Well, Alhaji, let me conclude by asking your views on the withdrawal of the Lithium agreement. Good move.
Withdrawal of
the Lithium agreement.
Oh, I joined IE to do a press conference, and yesterday they called me and said, "Oh, They have withdrawn the lithium agreement. I said, yes. Because you see, Senator, we were all here when Parliament came and said, and the minister said that the negotiation for a lithium agreement put the royalties at 10%. But the law, the Minerals and Mining Act of our country, puts royalties not above 5%. Did you hear the argument?
Yes.
Good. It means that the negotiation to put royalties at 10% was illegal, was unlawful. Not so.
Yes.
So that agreement itself, it has been tainted by illegality. Is that not the case?
Mm.
So how do you rectify an illegality? And when an agreement has been tainted by illegality, it becomes void.
Okay.
It becomes void.
Okay.
So why do you want to say part of the agreement and say that, well, because our laws don't allow 10%, you are going to reduce the royalties to 5%, and then and use the law as a basis or justification for your reduction? It means that those who negotiated out of law. They didn't follow the law, and so the agreement itself is void.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for somebody to say, well, if an agreement is void, you can save part of it.
So for you, they should go back to the negotiation.
First of all, if you had a problem with that agreement because it was 10%, and then the no law supports 10%, you say, oh, these are negotiations. Those who are negotiating did not have recourse to the law of this country. So we are going back to negotiate.
But
because that agreement, if it is implemented, it is void. The company can take us to court. Ferrari can take us to court and say that we are taking a 10% when the 10% is not supported. When the 10% is not supported by law. So if they can say that, why can't we also say that the agreement is void? So we are going for negotiation. And two, you see, even the optics is not good. To negotiate 10%. The previous government negotiates 10%. Then you come into office and say, oh, even that 10% is too much. We are giving you back 5%. Even the lithium is ours. So the previous government negotiated 10%. Never mind that it was not consistent with the Minerals and Mining Act. Then you come and say, oh, 10% is too much. We will reduce it to 5%. And that 5%, you know how much it will cost us? $630 million. So, okay, so we are going to give you back $630 million because the $630 million that will come to us is enough in terms of royalties for the duration of the agreement. What kind of thinking is that?
So for you, go back and negotiate again.
And now you can negotiate the way you want to negotiate. And we have said everywhere that minerals have benefited, the countries where minerals are extracted, the country has ownership. There's ownership of that mineral. Ownership doesn't mean permanent sovereignty over the natural resources. Well, it means that the country owns the mineral resources. So we must have equity in that discovery. And if we are not talking about sweat equity. We are not talking about the equity that comes to us by reason of the fact that the mineral is found in Ghana. We are saying that the mineral should be our own, in addition to royalties and taxes. That's what we are saying.
But the royalty rate...
Because you see, the mineral itself is an asset. You know that.
Yes.
It's an asset. So if we don't treat them as assets and we are treating them as income-producing activities, we lose out. Because when the lithium is extracted, it's gone. It doesn't come back. So when you extract the lithium or exploit the lithium, it must translate into an income-producing activity. Its resources must be reinvested in something that is beneficial and that will continue to benefit the people of this country. But when you convert an asset into income and consume save, you lose out. And many countries, Norway, they discovered oil at the same time that England did. They decided that they would treat their oil as an asset. Today they have a sovereign wealth of $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion, the richest country in the world. England decided to use their oil to support their budget and make up for political pressures, spend their money. Now England has no oil. Now there's nothing that can show that they discovered oil also in the Red Sea and they have consumed the resources. If we talk about Dubai, UAE, a country that was only known for pearls. They used to sell pearls. You know pearls? Those white things.
Yes.
And then it was a strategic location between Asia and Africa and Europe. That was all. That was their selling point. Then they discovered oil. Then they decided that the oil must benefit the people of the UAE. Today, UAE is not known for oil. It's known for hospitality. It's known for tourism. It's known for technology. Can you imagine? It does it.
Well, Alhaji, thank you. Thank you for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
Well, this is Alhaji Inusah Fuseini, former member of Parliament for Tamale Central, former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. That's why I raised the lithium matter. And of course, when it comes to matters of law, a trained lawyer himself was on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, as it was called then, when the whole OSP matter was dealt with. Taking us 31 minutes past 8 here in the studios of Radio Gold 90.5 FM. We need to take another